people, let me ask you this. Do you really know what just happened in Southern California? Because on August 25, 2025, a storm ripped through like something out of a movie, except it was real. Flash floods swallowed highways, cars went under, water, power poles snapped like toothpicks, and entire neighborhoods were left in the dark. And if you think this doesn't matter to you, stick with me, because before this video ends, I'm going to show you exactly why this storm is a wake-up call for everyone living in monsoon-prone areas. So don't even think about skipping if you miss this. You'll miss the warning that could protect you and your family. Now picture this. You're driving down the highway, and in just minutes, the calm road ahead turns into a nightmare. Water doesn't just puddle, it rises so fast your tires lose grip, and before you know it, your car is floating. That's exactly what happened in the Imperial Valley, where Highway 86, normally packed with commuters and truckers, was swallowed by a wall of rushing floodwater. Viral footage captured the terrifying reality. Drivers abandoning their vehicles, scrambling onto car roofs, desperately waving for help as the current carried their belongings downstream. Then, in a scene straight out of a disaster movie, a Coast Guard helicopter thundered overhead, lowering harnesses and pulling people to safety one by one. This wasn't a slow-moving storm. There weren't hours of warning. It unfolded in minutes that separated life from tragedy. At the same time, the storm's fury didn't stop with the floods. Winds near 70 miles per hour ripped through power lines, snapping nearly 3 poles like toothpicks. In an instant, more than 4,000 people lost electricity. No power meant no air conditioning, no refrigeration, no way to charge phones, no way to call for help. And in the middle of triple-digit desert heat, that's not just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. Entire communities, Brawley, Calexico, and the tiny desert towns hugging the U.S.-Mexico border were suddenly cut off from the outside world. Roads were washed away or blocked by debris. Homes stood surrounded by water, their residents trapped inside. Families sat in the pitch black of their living rooms, listening to the howling wind outside, unsure if the roof would hold, unsure when help would come, unsure of what tomorrow might look like. This wasn't just a storm. This was survival. And it wasn't just Imperial Valley. The Coachella Valley, Palm Springs, Cathedral City, Palm Desert was hit like a wave of chaos. Streets that just hours before had been filled with traffic and tourists were suddenly unrecognizable. Intersections disappeared under faced moving. Torrents that looked more like rivers than roads. Lightning split the sky again and again, each flash followed by booming thunder that rattled windows and shook people to their core. The rain wasn't just heavy, it was relentless. Canyon areas took on over an inch in what felt like minutes, overwhelming drains and sweeping debris straight into neighborhoods. And the wind, it howled through the valley with gusts topping 50 miles per hour, ripping palm fronds off trees and sending them crashing onto cars below. Farther north, the scene wasn't any calmer. In Joshua Tree and 29 Palms, desert streets turned into rushing mud channels, dragging sand, rocks, and whatever else was in the way right through the heart of town. Cars were abandoned mid-road, their drivers forced to climb out and seek higher ground. Families clung to porches and rooftops, watching helplessly as the flood swallowed yards, fences, and vehicles alike. What was normally dry desert terrain had, in the blink of an eye, become a dangerous network of brown, surging rivers. Here's the thing. Experts say this wasn't just bad luck. This disaster had science and inevitability over it. A massive surge of tropical moisture surged up from the Gulf of California, colliding head-on with extreme desert heat and months of parched bone-dry soil. Imagine pouring a bucket of water on a slab of concrete. That's what the ground was like. It couldn't soak up a single drop. So when the sky finally opened, the rain didn't seep, and it exploded across the surface. Within minutes, quiet neighborhoods turned into churning rivers. Desert washes that looked empty one moment were raging torrents the next. Cars were caught in the surge before their drivers even realized what was happening. Families had seconds, not minutes, to scramble to higher ground, and that's the terrifying part. There was no slow build-up, no gentle warning. One moment it was calm skies, the next it was walls of water tearing through streets, swallowing highways, and cutting off escape routes. Nature doesn't ask for permission, and in California that night, it showed just how quickly it can flip from peace to pure, life-threatening chaos. And let me pause right here, because if you think you can just wait it out during these storms, this is your proof that you can't. By the time you realize what's happening, it's already too late. That's why knowing this information matters. It's not just about the past, it's about being ready for the next one. Emergency crews. Through everything they had at the crisis, firefighters waded chest deep into raging water to reach trapped drivers. Local rescue teams formed human chains to pull people from vehicles that were seconds away from being swept downstream. Even the Coast Guard was called in, airlifting families off rooftops and dropping supplies where floodwaters had cut off entire neighborhoods. They worked through the night, no breaks. No pauses or restoring power line by line, clearing highways, clogged with mud and debris, and making sure no one was left behind. And against the odds, they succeeded. Not a single life was lost. But here's the sobering truth. Officials are sounding the alarm. This isn't over. The same unstable monsoon pattern is still hanging over the region, ready to unleash another round of flash floods. Which means one thing. If you live in these areas, you can't let your guard down, because the next storm could come just as fast. And if you're not prepared, you may not get a second chance to react. And remember, this isn't just weather. This is survival. If you miss this, you're missing more than just a storm story. You're missing the lessons that can protect your home, your car, your family, even your life. So here's what you need to do. Stay plugged into weather alerts. Never drive into floodwaters no matter how shallow they look, and be ready with backup power, food, and water. Because the events of August 25th proved one thing. Southern California's monsoon season doesn't give warnings you can depend on. It strikes fast, it strikes hard, and it leaves people wishing they had listened sooner. Stay safe, stay aware. And if you found this breakdown helpful, share it, because the more people know, the fewer get trapped when the next storm hits.